Good morning. Welcome to Clear Passage Prayer Line. Today is April 9th, 2020. The best I can tell you is, and I never said this on the prayer line before, but the rapture is coming soon. It is really, really coming soon. So this conversation we're getting ready to have is to uh, prepare yourselves to have those hard talks with your loved ones. Don't matter, how sometimes you dance around it and don't actually just straight up ask him, do you know the Lord? And if he came tomorrow, would you be ready to go? You need to have those calls and have those conversations. People that are on your prayer list, it's like being packed up and ready. Even though you're functioning and living and everything, your bag is packed. If you're at your desk, your overnight bag, I'm just meaning your prayer life, you keep it with you. Like you keep it in your car, you keep it under your desk, you take it back. You're always ready because you do not know when the time will come, but you have to be ready. And it's kind of like that. There used to be a game we played called musical chairs, where you would be walking around the chairs and be one less chair, and then they play the music, and then the music would stop, and everybody would scramble to get their chair, and then one person would be left out. Remember, I know you don't know if you guys remember that game, but musical chairs, where you'd be the feeling of paying attention to the chair and paying attention to the music. That's what game caused you to do. But you didn't just dance like it wasn't no point to it, or just walk around with the music playing like there was nothing. Everybody would always had the eye on a chair, from this chair to the next, which one they were going to get. That's how you have to be in the presence of God. So the people, some people are easily led astray, easily backslidden, or easily going. This ain't the time for that to happen. You need to be anchored, making sure that you have that you're ready. Just for real, be ready. And so on your prayer list, when you go down, you have to have those talks. You have to have those talks. Do not delay it, because there's a sorting. And I'm trying to explain what I'm seeing. There will be, let me tell you why it's a sorting. He said two will be plowing, one will be taken, and one will be left. Two will be sleep, one will be taken, and one will be left. It's going to be some clean picking, just right clean zoop like that picking. We don't know what it's going to look like. Just like this thing I said earlier on the call, just like this coronavirus happened. Nobody knew. It just came up from, and it just did whatever it was going to do. But we didn't know. Couldn't have. Now there have been prophecies about it. There's one I hope I can share it with you from 1980 something, where a man described it down to the coughing. He described how it was going to come and it will suddenly leave. But it's an indication of how God can touch the lives of mankind and not touch the buildings. There used to be, I'm just give you some examples. There used to be, when they would have bombs, they would bomb everything, bomb the building, the sidewalk, the people, everything. And then they start having these smart bombs that could go in and take all the electricity out and shut down all the electricity. Or they have bombs that can just go in and leave the buildings and take all the people out. So they have different, thank you, Gloria. They have different things ways that they can come at it. So if mankind can decipher how they want to attack other men so easily, when God gets ready to move, he's going to be way more strategic than anything we've ever seen, and it will be what is in the Word, but it will not look like what you thought it was going to look like. Because you have to remember, when they were describing things of the future in Revelation, way back when they wrote it, they could do it based on what it looked like to them at the time. They couldn't say it looked like this, or it looked like an engine, or it looked like this. They said it looked like something, the best thing at that time they could show you to describe it. So you have to realize that they're describing something that they've never seen before, with the reference guides and references in terms of physical references they had back then. So you have to realize that they don't know. They said it looks like da 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 da, but they're trying to describe something that they hadn't seen yet or had not come to pass. So take that into consideration. So the sorting, some people are going to just go naturally. Then this next sorting, the raptors, those are the easy. That's the ones that's already ready to go. Swoop, they're out. Now it's the ones that's going to not take the mark. How's the mark going to be? Don't know, but I don't. It's not going to be like you think. And because right now we were talking about that yesterday. If you think about it, if we keep having these germ issues, they're going to sort the clean people from the not clean, the people that have been tested or not tested, the people that can buy and sell, that cannot buy and sell, the people that can go in and out, and they're going to start sorting humans based on necessity of survival. And however that's going to happen, we don't know. But that's the next type of sorting, and it might be, who knows? It might be. I don't. Yeah, well, I watch a lot of television, but I don't know. There's technology. Let me leave it like that. We don't know how that's going to look, but it will not look like, we couldn't have described it 30 or 40 years ago, because we wouldn't even know how to say what it was, because we didn't have the knowledge of how things were done. But based on what's happening now, it's going to cause mankind to treat each other differently and to function differently, because we are now at a level where something can come through and change the lives of everybody. So people are going to sort themselves. So that sorting is going to happen. After that, there will be people, you don't want to even be the human earth. Things are going to continue on the earth realm. They'll just go, I don't know, where there'll be something like, just imagine, and you can't imagine Trump or whomever else standing there saying, well, all these people were here. We don't know what happened to them. They were here, and then such and such. You can hear him just doing a news briefing saying, well, we don't know what happened to them. They were here, and then people, they will be trying to figure it out. But the people that know will be gone. And then there's some people here left, and then there's some people that will go, you know, that know what it is, took the eye off the mark, was out at the club or out wherever they were, doing what they weren't supposed to, whatever, they missed it. So they'll know what they missed. That's another group. That's like the Lord scoops this group first, and He said, now the ones that's left, you know what just happened. We'll swing back around and see what's going to happen with them. They'll be sorting themselves out with the marker. It'll be something we didn't expect. Like, we don't know what it's going to look like. So that's just a casual description. But in the meantime, while you're on this side of events, make sure you have those conversations like it's going to happen immediately, like it's going to happen tomorrow. If whenever it happens, be prepared and make sure you have done your part, so that all your loved ones and all the people that you want to make sure are ready to go are really, really ready to go. It just doesn't matter if they like you or not. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. Better they tell them and they be ready than you not tell them and they miss it. See, it's like that serious. Okay, so getting back to the everything must be covered. The thing that what God is the control. When we look at the news, sometimes we look at it, we hear it like a human, and nothing should come into your mind or into your processing that does not first pass through the through the presence of God. So, for example, you can be working on something and prayed up on everything and think you have everything covered, and then you look up and either you just get distracted, the news comes on, or somebody calls you with a problem that you weren't expecting. Even however the information comes in, get in the habit of not letting stuff pass from the outside realm straight into your spirit, and straight to the point that you start to worry before you pray. And if you're not careful, you'll just like, oh, and you'll start thinking in your physical ability and thinking in your flesh, and then remembering to pray and give it to the Lord, especially with family members or emergencies or things you watch it. And especially if you're watching TV, if you look at TV, the information that comes across the TV is not designed to be filtered through God. You never hear them say, here's the news, let's pray or let's pray right after, which is how it's supposed to be. The news comes filtered through the throne of God, not directly. What are you going to do with the news? What are you going to do with the information? You're not in control. So if they tell you 10 zillion people died, all you can do is look at it and go, wow. But you give it to God, and you have something to talk about. Then you have something to work with. Then you have some. Then you have handed a situation to the person that can make to the entity that can make a difference. You can't make a difference. You have no other than getting getting surprised and getting stressed out. That's the most you can do. You and your physical body can't move this thing, but you know somebody that can. So why not get the information through the filtering of the prayer? You live in a way, you hear in a way, and you're thinking in a way that it all comes through God. It does not pass through you. And the reason that's so important is because you can be processing 99% of the things that matter in the presence of God, and something just came in and you forgot to give it to him, or you can process, your mind will automatically process. And I'm saying this so that everything must be covered by his word. Everything, your thoughts, nothing should come in any door or corridor of your being that is not covered by the presence of God, that doesn't pass. Nothing should come to you that doesn't pass through him first. So what that means is that you should not have a thought that God can't that didn't pass through him. You shouldn't have an opinion that didn't pass through him. You know how we have an opinion? Oh, well, I like this person and I don't like that person. I this or I that. I that none. You can't afford it anymore. It all has to pass through him. So now when he says, let the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart, and I know we've said this a bunch of times, but now that we're in a influx of a lot of information, we're processing a lot of information. We tend sometimes, if you're not careful, you'll take a few pieces that maybe you process in 10 pieces of information. God, you put 7 on the altar, but 3 of them you're trying to figure it out yourself. Excuse me. Don't try to figure out anything yourself. Even the timing when you go to the store, even the time when you do everything, put it filter it through the Lord. Filter your every here this Vivian song, order my steps. Everything filter through God, because right now, if you will be, the enemy just needs you to be distracted enough to where you actually put worry and doubt. And that worry and doubt you have for one thing, if he can just get you to in your own mind and in your own flesh to take a problem and try to fix it yourself. Don't give it to God. Try to fear. He's going to try to, because see, the news comes with the intention of human beings receiving that information absent of the presence of God. Just this is a crisis, and boom, 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 crisis, fear, stress, panic, and worry, and then all earthbound processing. And that's not how we process anything. Every single thing, every single thought, every single action passes through the throne of God. You don't have, do not have an action or a thought that you don't pass through him. Hand it all over. Even those of you that are parents, and you've been processing, the children come directly to you. Even in that conversation, send them through God. Don't let them sit there and tell, oh, this is my problem, this is what I'm working on. Send them through the throne room. Everything passes. Everything passes through the throne room. When somebody calls you with a problem, I need you to pray about, not even pray, because sometimes people don't want you to pray. They want you to listen to their problem and then tell them what you think. And because they don't want, because see, God, if they pass it through the Lord, it involves forgiveness. It involves letting something go. It involves getting into this word. It involves rededication to the Lord, because sometimes God's answers are not the ones you want to hear, because they involve you having to humble yourself. And so people don't want they want to tell you what the other person did and why they're mad at them, and you to pick a side. That's not how God operates. And when somebody's coming to you, your first excuse me, your first line of defense is the presence of God. And if they want an answer that is not incorporated in this word, then you should not be given it. You don't have an answer that's not in this word. You don't have an answer that's not in the presence of God. So don't give out any advice that's not in the presence of God, no matter how you can understand it, because you can in your flesh you can reason out of quite a few things, but we're not in those days anymore. You can't afford to mislead somebody with giving them an earthbound solution and they wind up missing heaven because they listen to you or listen to anybody. They have to. Everything is. You now know who's in charge. We've all been reminded. We now know who really is running the show. Stay on that point and remind them, and let everything that they do, not just the words of your mouth and the meditations of your heart, let the words of their mouth and the meditations of their heart be acceptable to the Lord as well. Because we always worried about me, yourself. No, because if it applies to me, it applies to them as well. Because at the end of the day, there's a small game, which is the personal problems I have for the next week, next year, 5 years, 10 years. That's one set of problems. But there's a bigger agenda. Will you make it into heaven? See how the game will change. I'll give you an example. If you hold your hand out and you hold your hand palm down, the back of your hand, see, that's where everybody's thinking. That's where imagine on the back of your hand, imagine party, club, buy my car, I want to do this, I want to do that, I can do whatever I want to do, my own will, my flesh, all on the back of that. You just imagine all that stuff happening on the back of your hand. And then now flip it over to the palm of your hand. The game was always God. The devil had you thinking one game, which was one side, but flip your hand right on over. That's the game. It was always about God. He was always in charge. The devil was not in charge. That devil stuff's gonna fall off. It's gonna be that don't even matter. And he will be talking and walking and doing and having every people all distracted, and that's not the game. That's not the scenario. That's not the strategy. The devil's agenda has nothing to do with what's getting ready to really happen. It's just a preoccupation. It's like paper dolls. The music. Trust me. When everything gets real busy, it will be God speaking and only Him. Everybody else gonna shut up. Everybody will be quiet because he's talking, and that's why I said look at one side. The flip is what I'm trying to get you to see. On one side, I'm worried about the car, my job, my this, my that, da 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 da. Do what you want to do. Just earth flesh based conversation. Everything just doing your thing. But that's not it. Then flip your hand over. It's always been the word of God. That's the foundational uh, agenda. That's what we have to focus on. Okay, so let me go back here. Um, the When you are praying as from a man or woman of God that knows God, you're going to pray a different kind of prayer. You're going to, like I said, you'll have those hard conversations. But when with you, so you will be like you will look at things. Let me just get this right here. Wisdom is knowing what things are going to look like uh, in the future, not necessarily now, but later. Give you an example. When babies are talking, kids are like, oh, babies talk back and say, no, I don't want to, and do whatever they want to do. That's cute it might even, not even cute then, but that might look, something you could wink at when they are 1 year old or 2 years old. But that bad behavior, if you let it stay there, that thing is going to grow up, and now you have a teenager that is completely out of control, that does not listen or will not listen to what you're saying. And you might need to be telling them something like right now that's going to save their life. You don't want your child to go to hell, even though they're in their 20s or whatever, however old they are, 20s or 30s or whatever, not listening. But they will have wanted to listen. They will have wanted to. And you have to establish a situation where they will listen to you. Case in point, don't live in front of them so that when you get ready to tell them something serious, they're going to look at you and go, oh, why am I listening to you? You did such and such. You did this. You did that. They shouldn't. That's why you don't do stuff in front of your kids, because they will throw it back up in your face. And when you need to tell them something very important, They will take your history that they have watched you do and use that. So when you are actually trying to tell them something to save their life, they're not listening because they're looking, because you have lived in such a way that they're going to question you versus, Ma, I know I'm not living right, but I believe you and I trust you, and let me listen to what you're saying. Your credibility has to count because you're going to need to use it. You're going to need to be out there telling people something about about them. You're going to have to be telling them something. Look, this, and they may not. Sometimes people are going to receive the Lord not because they see the signs. They ain't going to see the signs. They've been out doing whatever. They're not going to see the signs. But you say, look, just like Rahab, I think that was her name. You're gonna be saying, look, you got to get your spirit. You got to get right here on this point, this latitude. Right? You know how you get to a point and you say, you got to meet me here at this point at this particular time. Be ready. Have your bags packed and be ready. This is what is going to go down right here, and they may not see nothing that would tell them that because they're not looking with the spirit, they're looking in the physical. They might not see nothing. But you are telling them because something is amiss, something is gone. The word has been telling us forever. And now we're upon it. These things take precedence that have never happened before. It is not by accident. It is the beginning of some big moves. God is a big mover. He's the only one that can move all of humanity. In the side of 3 weeks, we have watched the entire globe change. Beginning of movement. Pay attention, so be ready. So we're not caught unaware. But when you need to tell somebody, Johnny, Jack, Jill, whatever your name is, Johnny, look, here, I need you to be here with your bags packed on such and such a time, and I need you to be ready, and I need you to bring this, this, and this. Serious conversation. We talk in spirit realm, but it's just as valuable. You need to have that serious conversation about who Jesus is, not about religion. Because see, they're gonna go back and say, "Well, Pastor such and such did that, and we done seen him do that, and we've seen that." They're gonna go. The enemy will use everything that has passed in front of their eyeballs to cause them to try to second guess what you're telling them about Jesus. Because see, God is completely 100% perfect in all his ways. But the people that have been talking about God have lived in such a way when it comes time for you to really have to believe you, this is when it counts. Did you live a way in front of them that they can trust what you're telling them? If not, get it together and have the conversation because they're going to need to believe you. Like you look at somebody standing on the edge of a building and you're trying to tell them, don't step backwards. Please walk to the light. Please step forward and walk to the light. You're not going to be able to grab them. You have to be able to talk to them. And your word's going to have to penetrate their spirit where they may not have listened to you the other 10 zillion times you told them. But this time, let them hear me. Like what I will say is, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have the call. We're gonna do the. Do you know the Lord? Do you accept it? Would you mind doing the sinner's prayer with me, so we can get this? Matthew's been saying that before. How he's walked down the street and says the sinner's prayer with people. This is life or death for real. It is. It's not joke. It's really, really, really life or death. And while you can't see it and it does not yet appear, ain't nobody seen no coronavirus. You just see people with masks. You can't see it, but it's functioning. It's doing a job. You can't see it, but it's doing it. So we may not see it till it happens, till the thing just boom starts happening or happens all at once. We don't know how it's going to come up. Case in point, Rahab cut a deal with those spies that came into the city. And she said, look, I know that your God is going to win. You guys are going to go to battle. Your God's going to win. I'm going to be on your side. I'm going to help you. She cut a deal. She said, I'm going to help you get out of the city. But me and my household, you need to she cut a deal for her family. And after she helped the spies get out the city, what do you think she did after that? She didn't go to sleep. She went and told them, look, Uncle John, Andrew, Cindy, whomever. Look, Aunt Cindy, Uncle, come here. You need to be at my house. Say they're coming the next. You need to be at my house. Get all your stuff. Come to my house right now. Quiet. She had that conversation. Trust me, that kind of conversation happened. She quietly went in. Get your stuff together. Be back at my house, and don't tell nobody. Just get all your stuff. You can't take the dog. Get everybody. Get your stuff. Pack your bags. Be at my house. And she was quietly moving her family into her house. So she put the red sash, hung it out the window, and everybody that was in her house, because she had went through and got everybody and told everybody, her family got saved because she went and told them, go bring all your stuff. Don't take this, don't take that. I can't explain it, but I'm not joking. I can't explain it. I need you to get to my house immediately, right now, and stay there. And she probably had people all packed in her house. And those are the ones that lived. Everybody else in the city got wiped out. And when it was time to go, they came and got her and she left. That's how called a way of escape. This is what we're talking about. That's how serious it is. Don't be playing around. This is why this ain't the church time. This is real deal. I don't, however you need to explain it, but you know how you have to have that serious conversation. Do you know the Lord? I need to make sure those that know God and walking around in unforgiveness, got to have that conversation. You can know God, and if you sitting up there mad at somebody, they're not getting in. But let me just say this. The way God said he's slicing it, the way he said he's going to sort it, he's going to sort it just that way. You're not going to be able to go, Lord, I want to get in, but no, I haven't forgiven all these people up here. I'm still mad at them. I still have angst in my heart. I'm still judging them. And you think you're going to walk in? It's not. They're not going to walk in. The cut's going to be serious, and it's going to be just like it says in the Word. So that's why you have to be operating in the fruit of the Spirit. This is serious times in terms of the spiritual movement and sorting out. So when he says you got to have to come this way with nothing in your heart, angst against anybody, you got to be completely forgiven. You got to be operating with the lightness of the Spirit of God, the love of God, the fruit of the Spirit has to be in you. That's all real. So you can't come. The religious part is not all that churchy stuff. The board of directors and the him and this and the bigger hat and the this and the shoes and all that. That stuff's gonna stay on the ground. That's not going. It's the holiness of God. The true church is not the building. The true church is not the big hat. It's the ones of living before God. And you could just get got saved 2 minutes before the time comes and you'll make it in. And somebody over here been saved 20 years playing church will be still stuck on this ground. The first shall be last and the last shall be first. And it should be cause you to have a real shaking in your boots in terms of paying attention. Lord, am I ready? Let me make sure. Because if you really know, you got enough time to just worry about yourself. You don't have time enough to worry about who wore what to church and what they driving and what they're doing. You ain't got time for that right now because right now there's nobody in the building. All the visual props to help you feel like you're saved are gone. Do you know him or do you not? Do you know the Lord or don't you? You in or you out? You know him or you don't know him, because it's not all the fancy stuff is going. Because when you know the Lord, you can have a party by yourself. It don't even have to be no music. Doesn't have to be a band. Doesn't have to be he has to play your favorite song and all this other stuff. It's none of that. You just can walk into his presence and be exceptionally just off the charts in worship, praising him because you know him. And that's what everybody else got to really, really, really know him. It's going to sort the fakers from the real ones that know the Lord, the ones that pretended and the ones that don't. Because see, God, when he comes through and sorts, he sees cuts to the bone and marrow of the real deal. Okay, so let's go back here. We're going to read the main thing. Make sure you have those talks. Reach them. Look at your prayer list. We may be working on some other stuff, but do you know the Lord? If he came right now, would you be ready? Ask the question. Well, my auntie, or well, I don't think so. Let's do that. Let's get that covered. And we could talk about the other stuff later, but let's get that covered. Let's make sure you make it in. And you can let me be, what if I'm wrong? Okay, but what if I'm right? So let's just as a precaution, what if I'm right? Let's pray this prayer together and make sure. And try with all your heart to stay in the presence of God. Just keep to stay safe. But I just want to make sure right now we got this covered in case, just in case. Okay, we're getting ready to read our scriptures, and when I say hand everything over, um, don't let anything or anything hit your spirit that's uncovered. This is because we have to filter. What happens if you start filtering outside of the presence of God? You will start you start trying to take things into your own control, and it'll affect your spirit. If you start processing, because you'll have worry, you have fear, you'll have doubt. If something can hit you before it passes through the throne room, you have not. It's like there's a fire, yes, but the death angel is going to pass over. Yes, but I have the mark of the Lamb. See, God has solutions already, a way of escape for His children. But if you take the news cold off the street without passing it through the throne room, then you will have worry and fear like a person that don't know God. But you know God, so what would normally affect you and hit your spirit should not ever hit your spirit. Everything comes through God before it gets to you. In fact, some stuff comes through God, never makes it to you. He takes care of it. It's already done. Trust Him with all the information.